Here's a look at the cedar planting. So it has the one multi-trunk cedar in the middle, surrounded by little cedars that I grew from seed. My intention was to show this cedar planting in either the Toronto show or the KW show, so I pruned all the trees well in advance. So at the end of each branch I have new growth coming out on the tips. You can see the light green color, and it looks very natural. It doesn't look like it was just pruned. This planting is meant to represent succession in the forest, so the old giant tree in the middle will eventually die off and get replaced by these younger ones growing up, and the cycle will continue, hopefully forever. The first stand I'll try underneath the tree is the cedar stand. I think that's kind of appropriate for the cedar trees. I'm not sure how it'll look, but let's give it a try. Here's a look at the forest on the cedar stand. It looks quite nice. The stand's just a little bit short. The pot overhangs it a bit, but it would be acceptable. It's not too bad looking, and the cedar kind of, well, matches the cedar a bit. It's rather a nice combination. Let's try a different stand. Here's a look at the dark homemade stand. I don't like that. It's too close to the pot color. It kind of makes the pot disappear and the stand disappear. It all looks like one thing underneath the tree, which makes it look very heavy underneath. Yeah, that's a bad combination, I think. Here's a look at the planting on the kind of reddish walnut stand. It looks quite nice, actually. Yeah, that's probably the best one yet. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. I think there's enough of a difference between the stand and the pot that it doesn't really clash or anything. I think the size of the stand is quite nice. Here's a look at the forest on the shallow bamboo display. Surprisingly, it looks pretty good, and maybe it's because it's so low it kind of, you know, gives the forest a forest floor feeling rather than being elevated up, which maybe looks a little funny with a landscape type pot. Yeah, that's actually not bad. It's possible I could add, 2 feet underneath it to just raise it up a little bit to kind of, just to bring it off the table surface a bit. But I kind of like that. It's a nice size. Definitely complements the planting. That might be the one I go with. Here's a look at the forest on the large oak table. I'm kind of liking this too. And you can see I've left room for an accent plant or something to that side. I kind of like it. Each time I pick a table for a tree for the show, I'm getting less and less selection. But I think that looks quite nice. I'll try and find some kind of accent plant to go beside it. One thing I'm finding is I don't have a lot of accent plants. I've got to step up my game in that department. I do have this indigenous totem pole here. It's got that big Canada at the bottom, but I could plant it in a pot and surround it with moss. And it would be very suitable, I think, for this planting. Here's a look at it up close. So yeah, I could hide the base in moss. And I think it would look quite nice with the cedars. I'll try it. I've got a couple of pots to try here, so we'll start with the little tiny one. Oops. Let's try that again. See how that looks. Maybe too small. Let's try the big oval one. I think that's a better size. It kind of fills the space a bit more. Adjust the position just slightly. Like that, maybe? I could offset this in the pot just slightly. Like that. I think that's pretty good. I think this pot kind of matches the big pot. I don't think I have anything else and any other pots that are suitable. I'm going to try a rectangular pot instead. Maybe 2 ovals is too much. I don't know. I'm thinking that looks better. I think you've got the oval pot, then the rounded rectangular, and then the very rectangular stand. I think it's a good transition. And I think the color of this pot is closer to the color of this pot. So I think it's good, and I think the other pot was too big, the other one was too small. I think this one is sort of in the middle and looks just right. So I'm going to try mossing it up. Now, I don't want the totem pole tipping over, so I'll have to either wire it into the pot or glue it with some like hot glue gun or something that's kind of temporary. I've got the hot glue gun warming up, ready for action. It's getting warmer. There's no light or anything that tells you it's on, but it's warming up. So I guess I just have to keep pressing the trigger every now and then and see if glue comes out the nozzle. The glue gun is definitely warming up. I can smell it. I think, yeah, I'm getting some liquid out the end. Okay, I hope this goes well. I don't know how long this glue will stay tacky. I better let it heat up a little more, maybe. I gotta get the glue nice and liquid so I can stick it down. If I had to, I mean, if it tipped over in the pot, I could always replant it for the show, but it'd be nice to get it in there kind of permanently. Seems good and hot. I don't know how to test it other than oh yeah, it's good and hot. That'll burn your finger. All right, let's do this. Let's get it in the pot. Here I go. I'll try and do this as fast as I can. Squeezing a bead all the way around. There I go. All the way around. And sticking it down. That seems to have worked. It's definitely glued in the pot. I'll just put a little bit around, kind of a bead, to kind of position it so make it a little tougher to tip over. It's glued in there. I can pick the pot up with the totem pole. It's nice and square and lined up. It's off center. That should be good. I'll add a drainage screen to the one side of the pot like that, get some bonsai soil in there, and then apply the moss. All right, here goes my soil. The totem pole was from the thrift shop. Okay, I think that's a good layer of soil in there. Now we'll get some moss. I've got some bits of dried up moss here, and it's fairly fine moss, so I think it'll look good around the totem pole. I better water this and the moss and start applying it. So this should green up before showtime, especially in the greenhouse there. So I want the moss just kind of up to the lip of the pot. You know, a wooden carved one would be better, but I don't have one. This is as good as I have. I'm going to need more moss. This is not nearly enough. I've got some larger clumps of moss here, which should do all right, provide a bit of variety. Maybe a little higher in the corner there, like that. There's another green clump here. I'll put that right like that. Just a little bit more. And this will be mossed up. Okay, I'll give it another watering. All right, that moss should green up quite nicely over the next 10 days. I may even have to trim it back before the show to make sure it's kind of short. Now, I kind of need something over this side just to counterbalance the totem pole. A little plant or something, so I'll look around. I think one of Emily's little stones would look really good. Just a little tiny stone. There, I think that looks good. Let's try it out with the display now. Here's a look at the display all put together. I think it looks quite nice on the table, the large table with the totem pole and the cedar forest. I think it's got a good theme going. So I'm happy. I think that is tree number 3 completed. There will be some touch-ups to do on everything before the show. Final cleanup, cleaning the pots up and all that kind of work. But I think that's looking good. It's time to pick out tree number 4 now for the Toronto show. My first 3 were fairly traditional, 2 ficus trees and the cedar forest. For number 4, we're going untraditional. I'm going to pick the asparagus fern.